Well, welcome back everybody. Nothing happened, everything was fine. What are you talking about? Welcome back to TTTV. This is TTG F1, and the reason why we're starting about 3 minutes into qualifying was because my PS4 thought, nah, not having this. We're sitting Lambo here, coming down towards Brussels here. In with me in the commentary box, as always, is the Mr. Andy Campbell. Andy, we were talking about this qualifying session. I believe the stream might have cut you off there, or maybe I did because my PS4 froze.
Yes, we now return you to your originally scheduled broadcast, is how it would usually be done in TV world. But yeah, we are back live, thank goodness for that. And we've not missed anything at the moment because the drivers are just coming towards the end of their first flying laps for most of them. I've been watching Paul in the Renault, who's coming up to the chicane, the bus stop chicane as I still call it, at the end of the lap. He's on the super soft tyres as well, softest compound. He's going to be the first one to set a lap time, getting very leery on the exit. It's a 1:43.2. Not too bad. I do expect to see some quicker times in that though through the session. Lambo coming through now in that Red Bull. I'm still so used to seeing Lambo in a Toro Rosso, to be honest with you, but there you go. Now a bit leery on the exit, super sauce for him as well. 42.2, that's a bit more like it. Expecting it to be a sort of low 42, maybe high 41. There we go, 41.7 for Big C. Now we're talking, now we're getting into it.
And I've got to do all this all over again, Andy. So I tell you what, let you pick a driver and go for a hot lap.
Oh, hold on, I'll see if I can find who's coming round to the end of a lap. That's actually about to start, maybe. Not everyone's finishing a lap, that's the annoying part. We'll catch it when someone comes out of the pits in 5 minutes, and then I'll do it. Because everyone's going to be finishing their lap, and I'm just not going to get the full thing, so we'll catch it in a wee bit.
Okay, well, I've still got to do the thumbnail and everything. So, how about Andy? Talk us through some of the legendary corners around this track. I mean, you talk about La Source and Eau Rouge and Radion. I mean, going through turn 1 there, I've been there in TTG F2, and the first lap through there, there's pretty much little to no grip. How do you conquer something like that?
Well, if you're me, you don't. You sit here in the commentary box and sit on your backside. That's how I usually do it. But no, it's definitely not the easiest thing to go through turn 1. It's tight, obviously. It's a very short run towards La Source. You've got quite a bit of run off the exit now. You never used to quite have that. Remember 1998, a humongous 13-14 car pile-up, obviously, in the rain. That was when Jordan finally got their first victory with Damon Hill in that wet restarted race. So it's quite easy to make a complete hash of it. And then obviously going up to a Rouge as well, as you go up and over the car, compresses down as you're heading up the hill over the top of Radio, and it then gets light again. It's so easy to lose the car coming out of there. Speaking of someone nearly losing the car, Aaron in the McLaren coming out of Stavolo, got on the curb and on the exit, and the car went very sideways there. He managed to collect it all together, but that's ruined his lap time there on the super soft. So he'll probably come through and finish the lap, I'd imagine, as he's doing a Ken block through it now, just to drift his way through. As we get another driver in, Onyx has joined. Lovely, that's good stuff. We can get up to 15. So, but yeah, Aaron keeping it together here, and he ended up with an invalidation as well. So there you go. Twice as bad for him, not too good at all. And Onyx is left, so he just came by to say hello, and then he said goodbye.
Maybe he had the same problem as me. Maybe his PS4 was just like, nah.
Depending on what you've been doing, as you say, I mean, you've been at Spa 3 times this week now.
Oh, there's Naz there. I just realised he's got no front wing whatsoever, so he's got it horribly wrong out there. But he's on the medium tyres, so nothing's really lost. Maybe just a damaged sense of pride. But he comes into the pit lane now, and of course that front wing will be changed, which luckily for him in this lobby will be repaired almost instantly.
Yeah, can't complain too much for that one. It's still Big C up the top at the moment with that 41.7. Only driver into the 41s. It's an all Red Bull front row at the moment with Lambo in second. Ollie's put himself up into third position at the moment with Poe in fourth, White in fifth, Charlie in sixth, Vanquish, Raikkonen, Aaron, Crazy Legs, Naz, Manny, Jack and Alan Kay still to set a lap time, although Crazy Legs and Jack are out on track, and as soon as Jack crosses the line to start a lap, we will finally get the hot lap in, because then at least I know someone's likely, hopefully, to finish the lap. And of course Jack's does a bit of commentary with us as well, so you know, commentator commentating on a commentator. There's a mouthful.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but yeah, heading now through campus and then towards Stavelot. And yeah, Andy, it's a legendary track. It's just over 7 kilometres, 7.004 kilometres to be exact. 22 laps here, and our weatherman Maze is saying that it's going to be a dry race. So unlike F2, it's going to be dry throughout the entire race. I had rain towards the end of my race, and I still managed to put it into a wall. I was the first on intermediates, and I still couldn't take advantage of it. Anyway, Andy Hotlap, take it away.
Yeah, the joys of the Ardennes Forest for you in that one on Tuesday night, but there you go. What do you expect sometimes with that rain? Anyway, out the final corner we go with Jack. Across the start and finish line, DRS wide open, the ERS turned all the way up to hot lap, looking for the braking zone into last sauce. About 75 metres down to first gear briefly, 40 odd miles an hour, and then back on the power. Quite decent acceleration on the way out now down this legendary downhill part. Just see the cars in the distance sneaking up the hill. Eau Rouge at the bottom, up through the right hander, over the top of Radion at the top of the hill, and then on the long drag down towards Les Combes. DRS open again, heading upwards north at 210 miles an hour nearly. Yes, we just sneaked to it before we hit the brakes. Down to fourth gear into the Les Combes chicane. That's where the old track disappears off to the left, and we go right through the right hander, heading down the hill. Big C stays out the way into Brussels. Tricky corner this. Downhill braking, cambered slightly as well. Jack's done pretty well through there. Through the old corner with no name, which I believe is now called X corner, and running a bit wide there on exit, and now down to Poohorn. Watch this, down to 6th gear, 165 on the way through, running wide. Might have invalidated the lap time there. Keeps his foot firmly planted up and towards the next right-hander. 4th gear, you can sometimes use the curb on the inside to your advantage. Swing it back to the left. Use the exit curb on the outside. Now into the double right is Stavelot. Got to take it easy through the first part, and now it's full throttle all the way through here. But you've got to be careful of that curb. Many drivers have caught that curb and crashed out in the past, and heading towards Blanchimont now much easier than it used to be back in the day. They've opened it up an awful lot, but still 200 miles an hour through a corner. Unless you're on an oval, try and find anywhere else that does that. Hard on the brakes into the chicane, down to 2nd gear. I still call it the bus stop. Aaron's been off again by the looks of it in front of us. Over the line we go, DRS open, and what can Jack do? So 1 minute 43.3, 1.6 seconds down, but pops him up into P5.
I think that's still quicker than me, so there you go. I mean, that's not difficult, but still, it's quicker than me.
Give yourself some benefit, mate, come on.
I've lost it 3 times. Lost my front ring twice. What do I have to gain?
Look, if it'll make you feel any better, the last time I done Spa on this game, I came out of the pits, I went up Eau Rouge, I was at half throttle, and I still spun. There you go.
Lovely.
That's why I do this.
Well, that's because you came out of the pits on cold tyres. That'll be why.
Yeah, but I was on half throttle, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's still cold tyres. You can't just attack Eau Rouge and Radion with cold tyres. You can't do that.
Come. Yes, I am, man. Come on, you've heard of Colin McRae. If in doubt, flat out.
Well, I have heard that. I didn't think it would be applicable here. Meanwhile, Morner's going to go flat out then. Up Eau Rouge and through Radion, as he now heads down towards the Kemmel Straight and towards Les Combes there of turns 6, 7 and 8 through this chicane here. And obviously, as you said, Andy, that peels off from the track on the left-hand side with that mammoth. I'm going to call it mammoth this time around because I called it behemoth before. As Allmore gets it onto the gravel there, a little bit of loss of control. He's on the medium tyres with 6 minutes to go. And of course, I think the drivers would much rather have the 7 kilometre track at their disposal rather than the 15 kilometre plus version.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you what's a good laugh. Get on Project Cars 2, take the Lotus 98T, turn the boost up to 100 and take it to the historic track. See how much you feel. Yeah, you don't need a gym workout when you try that one, trust me, especially if you're manual shifting. That's a good challenge.
Well, at least then, you know, there's only 11 laps to do in a 50% race. You could take that benefit.
Yeah, and by the end of it, you're pulling your hair out and you probably end up bald.
Ah, well, you see, therein lies the problem. Well, at the moment then, with 5.5 minutes to go, it is Big C on pole position right now. 141.7, Poe in second, Lambo third, Ollie in fourth, White fifth, Vanquish sixth, Jack Fox in seventh, Naz in eighth, Charlie in ninth, Collingwood in 10th. There's more men, currently 13th place, yet to set a time, sets himself towards the line, and will this be a valid lap time? No, it won't.
Yeah.
It was
a 144, so he would still not have been too far up anyway.
Well, it's not far off Collingwood's time. I have a 1:44.9, but I don't think that's a representative lap time. We're still waiting on Raikkonen, Crazy Legs, Morn, and Alan Kay all to set lap times at the moment, and 3 of them are in the pit lane. We're watching one of them who's yet to set a lap time as Morn now heads down the Kemmel Straight. Of course, you've got a dilemma here because you've got the super soft tyres, which are, you know, fantastic in qualifying, but we've seen it in the past in real F1 and we've seen it in the past in TTL F1 that these super soft tyres do not last long around this track.
No, definitely not. Your ideal strategy would be soft to medium or medium to soft. The soft tyres are probably the better race tyre, as I'm just watching White completely make a mess of the last chicane and then decides to come for pit lane instead. So that's what the yellow flag is. It's out in sector 3. Jack's coming through on his latest lap, but he's going through to go into pit lane as well. But yeah, your ideal strategy is the soft to medium or the medium to soft. The super softs will probably last you around maybe lap 5, and then you're really having to push a set of mediums through the race. We've seen punctures before with drivers actually doing that, so it's really a tricky one. You're kind of hoping there for maybe a safety car to come out just to try and give your tyres a bit of a respite, you know, through the race. But your ideal strategy is the yellows to the whites rather than being on the reds. But it does look like the top 3, at least at the moment especially, are likely to be starting on those tyres. Money's coming through and heading for pit lane, so he's decided he's had enough of the mediums, and now everybody except for Crazy Legs, who's on his outlap heading up the hill over the top of Radion, is in the pits. Vanquish has just exited pit lane as well. 3.5 minutes to go. I'm expecting to see an absolute deluge coming out of pit lane in a minute though. And I'll be interested to see what tyres they go on. We've got a good mix in the top 10 at the moment. It's super soft and soft. Nobody's managed to get in the top 10 on the mediums yet. I'll be surprised if someone does. And the thing is, we're only 14 drivers. A few of them obviously unable to make tonight for you know, an array of reasons. It does happen, obviously, real life, but there's not too much of a disadvantage of qualifying just outside the top 10 and having a fresh set of tyres of your choice, when you'd maybe expect, if you were only expecting to maybe get into like the top, just inside the top 10, maybe like 7th, 8th, 9th or 10th, doesn't make too much of a difference. You then get a better choice of strategy, so it's not as big a disadvantage, and you never know, some of them might just decide to stay in pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing one on board with Vanquish here as he makes his way through Puon and now down towards Campus through this turns 12 and 13 section. And as you said, Andy, that turn 12 has a sort of dip in the curve, which if you get the tyre absolutely right on it, it can drag the car in and help you turn in the car. We've got Martin in the chat saying, "Evening guys, looking forward to another good night racing." So are we, as we head for the first round of this 4-round mini-series. And of course, this is where mistakes, Andy, you can't afford to make them whatsoever. One mistake and that could be your entire championship in jeopardy.
Definitely. So that's what I was saying at the start of the first stream before the technical difficulties, that we've only 4 rounds. You need to hit the ground running straight away. One bad result and any chances of doing well in the championship are pretty much evaporated straight away. Oh, that's Charlie basically stopped over the top of Origin Radion there, so I wonder if he's had a problem. He's back underway, so he must have just been trying to stay out of the way of people, but it's a bit not unusual to see a car at the side of the road completely at a standstill almost there. Every driver is now out on track. We have minute 22 to go now, with some of them still on outlaps. Expect that final sector. You can see yellow flag sector 3. We're going to see a lot of that coming up in the next couple of minutes as people jockey for position. I wonder if someone's going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and going to end up missing out and setting a lap time here, so I'll try and keep an eye on it and see who ends up where.
Well, Crazy Legs here now making his way towards Campus through turns 12 and 13. He's going to be the first of the drivers to set a lap time heading towards the end of the session, because he's on a flying lap right now. So as he makes his way now through turn 15, and then we're making our way towards 16 and then turn 17 of Blanchimont. As Andy said, it is flat out now all the way towards the chicane. Here we go, flat out through the left-hander. Watch out for that curve on the inside, can really unsettle the car as we make our way now towards the braking zone, towards that chicane, the old bus stop chicane, even though it's not called that anymore. Crazy Legs, and to be careful on the traction as he makes his way towards the line. What's he going to be on those soft tyres? 8th place for Crazy, 1:43.4. That's not actually a bad lap time on the soft tyres. Let's have a look and see. Vanquish has set a 1:42.7 already. Here he comes on a set of super soft tyres. What can he do? He goes pole position. 1:41.5. That's Crazy Legs retiring from the session. That is him done then. Checker flag is out. And let's see who is on some laps. We've got White there making his way just through Stavilo. We've got Poe making his way towards Puon. How about Jack? Well, Jack here is, I'm not sure if he's on a flying lap or not. Vanquish retires from the session. He feels the job is done, and to be fair to him, not much you can do then on a used set of super soft tyres. Here comes Jack then, currently 7th place, 1:43 to better. It's a 1:41.5 provisional pole position. Here he comes towards the line, 1:42.9. He does improve and goes to 7th place. So it is an improvement on time. There's Naz around. That's at Puon, and that looks like the back end's completely gone on that Alfa Romeo Sauber, and it's just completely caught him off. Ollie then crossing the line. He's 5th place at the moment. Here is Lambo then coming around Blanchimont, flat out through here once again as we make our way towards that old bus stop chicane. Big C then 1:41.7. Who is yet to set that lap time once again. He's now making his way through 16 and 17. Here comes Lambo towards the line. What can he do? He can't improve. Well, he does improve. It's a 1:42.0. There's Raikkonen on pole position. Lambo's time was invalidated, so he'll be starting down in 6th place. So, Big C locks up into turn 18, completely botches that final chicane, and any chance of him getting another lap time is all but gone then. And yeah, Raikkonen pole position right now, 1:41.3. We've got Charlie here making his way now around the final corner and towards the start finish line. And remember the Alan Kay after that. Can Charlie improve? Yes, he can. He goes up to 11th place. How about Alan Kay making his way now towards the start finish line? What can he do? It is 14th place for the Ferrari driver. So then, with qualifying complete then, it seems, as Naz makes his way now towards the line, he actually spins over the line in pure frustration, that looks like. But Raikkonen grabs the first pole position for this TTG F1 mini-series.
Yeah, it went under the radar there, did the Williams driver. We were watching some of the other guys that we were expecting to be up there, Big C. I was keeping an eye on them, Poe and all of that coming across the line, and some of them made improvements, but not really making much in way of improvement of places, and Raikkonen just sneaks out of nowhere. Well, 1:41.3, 1/10 clear of Vanquish in second in the Toro Rosso. Then you got Big C in third, Poe in fourth, Aaron Collingwood in fifth, Lambo in sixth, the top six all in the super softs. Ollie in seventh on a set of soft tyres. That's not too bad from him. White in eighth, Jack in ninth. They're both on super softs. Manny in 10th on the soft tyres. And then outside of that, getting free choice of tyre will be Charlie, Crazy Legs, Naz, and Alan Kay coming up at the rear. Alan obviously was having a chat with us last night. He's given it a go with the no assists. Something a little bit different for him that he's trying to improve on. It's a hard thing. I don't know if you've tried it too much, Kieran, because I've been trying it myself. It is tricky to get used to if you're so used to it being using assists. I've been trying it in a multitude of different games. It is a tricky thing to master if you're so used to having even just ABS sometimes, So he's given it a go, and you know what? We were joking we were going to crucify him, but I can't, because I would have spun a lot more than he has. Or might do.
Well, he said because he was nice to me in Tuesday's stream, where he saw me spin 3 times, I'm going to be nice to him. That's how it's going to work, I guess. But yeah, no, it's always difficult. Yeah, tit for tat. You've got lots of drivers here who are doing this for the first time. Alan is one of them. But of course, with the racing line, the only thing allowed to be on, that's what I race anyway. And I can tell you it is tough. It's a steep learning curve, especially with no traction control. ABS is something you can get used to. You have to brake a little bit later, and you have to get used to braking hard, and then as you start turning into lift off and do a little bit of trail braking instead. The one thing that no one can really master really quickly is the traction control. These cars are so much, even though they're very heavy, you can see Raikkonen there slamming into the wall. Even though these cars are so much heavier than their predecessors, almost by half, at 500 kilograms at most. Even though they're much heavier, the back end on those cars can still turn you around if you're not careful. If you don't heat up those rear tyres, if you try and carry too much speed into the corners, then that back end is simply just going to say, no thank you, I'm going to spin you around.
Definitely so. I mean, with these 3.6 hybrid turbos, 1.6 litres, Raikkonen again, he's really aggressive for the tyre warm-up, all over the shop. But yeah, the amount of torque that goes through the tyres, it's so easy. You see a lot of drivers, we've said it during, being on board and stuff, you can see them just quickly upshifting through the early gears to try and eliminate the wheel spin as much as they possibly can do, because if you leave it too long, they will just light up and they will send you in the opposite direction very, very quickly indeed. So it's a very tricky thing to master no matter what car you're looking at. ABS as well. I think for me what I found is, for trying to learn the no ABS and trying to avoid lock-ups, got to use the engine braking in certain cars a lot more when you're downshifting. Allow that engine brake to use it a little bit more to help you slow down, as well as the downforce if you're on a downforce car. So it's a tricky thing to master. Some of them able to get onto it a lot quicker than others. Some people are just so used to it. So we shall see what will happen, and this is going to be an interesting race for sure. Outside the top 10, soft tyres for Charlie, Crazy and Naz. Alan's decided to go for a set of the medium tyres, so he's decided he's going to run very long in the first stint, and possibly maybe even put a set of super softs on at the end, depending on how he's doing. You never know. But we're about to come up to the start. Martin's quickly in the chat going, are FOM okay about streaming the F1 trademark now? It's always been down there, Martin. It's just sometimes that their third-party bot is a pain in the backside. And Nexus Cats is saying, let's hope Jack doesn't do an bleep, so he will not be angry for the rest of the night. Let's hope he has a good race.
Yes, and let's hope we have a good race on our hands here. We're almost ready to go here at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Once those 5 lights are coming on, we're almost ready here for the round 1 of this mini-series here in TTG F1. Round 1 is underway. What are the starts like then? Looks like Raikkonen's got a good start as we make our way towards the source hairpin for the very first time. You've got the big C there in the Red Bull, looking for a move up the inside. That was Poe getting onto that sleeping policeman on the outside. It can really unsettle the car as we're making our way now down in formation towards Eau Rouge, and then Radion. Contact between Collingwood and Vanquish there as Raikkonen's lost it from the lead. He's lost it on cold tyres. He goes straight into the wall, and Raikkonen, the pole sitter, out of this race. Meanwhile, it's formation behind Vanquish then as Poe, Lambo, Big C, White and Ollie all looking for it. Now Vanquish is around. The Toro Rossos have had a nightmare start. Vanquish all the way around. It's carnage around turn 3 or turn 6 here as Ollie finds himself around as well. Oh, I don't believe this. Williams on pole, Vanquish up in second. They're both turned around, Vanquish in 10th, and Raikkonen is out of this race completely. That means Collingwood then takes the lead as we head now down towards Pouon for the first time. Poe then up to second place, Big C then in third. We've got White in fourth, Lambo in fifth, Morn in sixth, Charlie up to seventh, Jack in eighth, Naz in ninth, Vanquish then down to 10th place, and those tyres will be screaming in agony. Alan Kay has kept his cool then. He is now in 11th place, looking to fuel save, it looks like. Ollie then in 12th. Crazy Legs looks like he's got damage to that Ferrari. Left-hand side of the front wing. Yeah, it's taken a huge bit of damage then. So that will be Crazy Legs coming towards the pit lane then, as we're now making our way with Collingwood through Blanchimont. Meanwhile, Vanquish behind has got away past Jack, as he now moves up to 8th place on what will be a recovery drive for him. What about Lambo? Riding on board with him as we head towards the chicane. He's looking for that opportunity up the inside of White here, in towards turn 18, but can't quite find it then. And at the end of lap 1, Collingwood leads from Poe and Big C. That is your top 3 on a hectic first lap here at Spa.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pit stops. Jack's got damage, Naz had a front wing damage, Crazy Legs as well that you mentioned, he's got damage too, so those 3 are all heading for pit lane. Didn't see what happened to Raikkonen, obviously you got a better view of it, but there were nearly 3 wide heading up through the Kemmel Straight towards Lecombe as they came through after all of that, and then obviously it looked like Vanquish just got a little bit of a touch maybe, surely it won't have been intentional, spun him round. Ollie was just trying to avoid it, he didn't get any damage, didn't spin round, he just ended up stuck with the Toro Rosso in the middle of the road. Crazy obviously got caught out in it unfortunately as well, so dropping him down the field. Aaron though up 4 places from the start now in the lead of the race, keeping out of trouble. White's up 4, so is Manny and Charlie. The biggest loser is Vanquish, down 6 places if you ignore Raikkonen being out of the race, but never good when you go all the way up Eau Rouge and you don't come out over the other end, especially when you've been in pole position. And we did see him having a few bits when he was really trying aggressively to warm the tyres up at the start, and I just wonder if maybe he overheated them. Possibly it's just caused a problem. Who knows? But he is out of the race, and already pole sitter Darren, meaning it won't be a pole to flag win for the pole sitter. We're going to have someone from behind pole position taking the victory, and Aaron at the moment looking not too bad. Half a second clear of pole, who's about 6/10 clear of Big C. White fell out of DRS range on the top three, so the top three are already starting to split away. Lambo will be trying to get by the Renault as quick as he can, see if he can gain anything on the front three, but it is as you were at the moment. Pole right behind Aaron, coming out of the bus stop chicane. I still call it the bus stop, I do not care. It is exactly that corner, and Pole looks like he's got a good run here. Is he going to fancy a lunge up the inside into the last source? He thinks better off it, pulls back in, but Aaron's ran a bit wide there, unable to get in the power, so we're now going to have a drag race all the way towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Let's see who comes out popping over the top and who's going to get the better run. DRS is now enabled, so that McLaren's going to be a bit of a sitting duck here down the Kemmel straight. Here we go, pops out into the slipstream, DRS open, upwards north at 200 plus miles an hour. Easily pulling alongside into Lecombe, into the braking zone, and Pole gets the move done, and he's now up into the lead of the race, and Big C is going to try his absolute best to follow him through as he come heading down the hill towards Brussels here. Lap number 3 though, Pole now leads from Aaron and Big C.
Yeah, Aaron locking up big time in towards Brussels there as we head through No Name and then towards Hill on this double left-hander according to the map, which is both turns 10 and 11. And Big C here will just be hoping to gain that bit of advantage on Aaron up ahead of him. And look at this, look at the run out of turn 11 he's got towards Campus, and he's on the outside for turn 12. And look at this, he's trying to make Collingwood outbrake himself, but Collingwood is having none of it in the McLaren, really professionally. Keeps that car under control, under trail braking, and he's able to stay ahead of Big C. Whilst these two are battling though, Poe is just trying to keep his head down and trying to just pull away from the two battling behind. But of course Big C is going to have a little bit of slipstream here on Collingwood, but can he find anywhere to place that car? As we head towards Blanchimont now, it's flat out through here, even with the dirty air. The Red Bull does not lift then. Big C, will he have him try up the inside of the chicane? No, thinks better of it for now. He'll have a bit of DRS down towards La Source. So will he use that to good effect? He's got a good exit out of turn 19 now. On the left-hand side, it'll be the outside at La Source. We try and brake earlier, try and get Collingwood to have a little bit of a mistake there. No, you can see Collingwood just parks it on the apex there. So Big C can't do anything about it. So this is really good defensive driving from Collingwood at the moment. He's really making that Red Bull driver work for this position. They're heading up. Oh, that's a loss of a back end for Big C. He's had to cut the top part of Radion, and in doing so gets himself a 3-second time penalty. And any momentum he had on Collingwood down towards Lake Om is gone now. Well, hopefully Andy will be able to join us back very, very soon.
Yes, I'm here, sorry.
There we go.
I hit mute and I thought I'd put it back on. Sorry, my bad.
That's all right. Well, take it away then, Andy, now that you're here.
Yeah, I was just saying, obviously, it's so easy to make a mistake going up over the top of Radion. The car just goes so light, the back end can just swing out on you. At least it didn't end up in a big accident, and Aaron is able to carry on. We've got Naz out of the race. I'm going to see what happened to him. He's crashed at the top of Radion. He's on the right-hand side of the track. He's completely lost it over the hill. Just what we were talking about that Big C managed to avoid. Naz, the second one out of the race. He's done exactly the same thing that happened to Raikkonen on lap 1, losing it over the top of the crest. But Big C now, he's also got that 3-second penalty. That's maybe going to make him push a bit harder than he maybe wants to do. He might get a bit more aggressive maybe, because he needs to obviously negate any disadvantage he's going to lose with that penalty later on in the race. And he's obviously, though, at the same time needs to avoid picking up any more, because that will really have an effect later on in the race. If he does, he needs to hope that others maybe just start getting a wee bit leery later on. There we go, Pole into pit lane, so that's going to put Aaron and Big C up into the front two. So Pole's the first of the leaders then on the Super Softs, only 4 laps in, and he's decided he's had enough of those. So if you're taking qualifying, in-lap, out-lap and fast laps, 7 laps they've managed, that's it. So they're not lasting very long at all.
No, absolutely. And remember, 2 of those laps are an in and an out lap, so they don't really count. Big C then is really wanting to try and make this move stick, but he can't get a good run out of Radion. He seems to just lose that back end very slightly. and it's causing then any chance of a move for Big C, and it's not happening into Lacom. Meanwhile then, Lambo is trying to close up on White ahead of him as they now head through Lacom and down towards turn 8 of Brussels. As you can see there, White kicking up a little bit of gravel on the exit of Lacom there at turn 7. But look at this battle for the lead once again. The McLaren holding true, and it seems like Collingwood knows how to defend against Big C.
Yeah, he's doing very well with the defensive drive, and he'll be using the ERS just when it's needed. He'll be trying to charge it where he can, but Big C will be doing all the same things, and he's looking really close at the moment. He just seems to be able to cane around the rest of the track. He just loses it at the best opportunity when he's coming over the top of Eau Rouge and Radion. And that's where he just seems to just lose a little bit of grip that he needs. Aaron getting a bit sideways there, coming through towards Stavolo as they run up the curb towards Blanchimont. And you can see Aaron's trying his best to stay on the racing line, but at the same time break the slipstream for the Red Bull behind. And coming through Blanchimont now, can Big C take a move? It looks like he's not going to be close enough here into the chicane, but I'd expect to see these guys flying into pit lane, and both of them do. So both of them into the pits. White follows them. Lambo's going to carry on for another lap, obviously, because his teammate's in the pit lane, so that could disadvantage Lambo quite badly, because he's going to have to do another lap on those worn tyres. So he's now in the lead of the race from Manny. Charlie up into third. Vanquish in fourth. He's still to pit as well on those super soft tyres. I want to see though where the pit stop guys come back out in comparison to Paul though, because he came in first from the lead. He was about 17 seconds, and I'll tell you what, Aaron's actually got out ahead of Paul out of the pit stops. Paul's got back ahead of Big C, but the McLaren is still technically in the lead of the race at the moment now, and that's worked out well. So the undercut for Paul didn't work and keep him in the lead of the race, because he led when he pitted, and he's now back down to what is a net P2 at the moment, but he's gaining all the time into Lecom. He's going to go and fly one up the inside, not a huge amount of braking. He's going to force the McLaren onto a very poor line, and as they come through the right-hander down towards Brussels, Paul's got a much better run. The tyres are up to temperature. He's got the inside line down on the brake. He's locked up on the inside, squeezes wide, a bit of understeer there, and Paul steals back the lead of the race. So despite losing out in the pit stop phase, he's gained that provisional lead back. P5 at the moment, but the top 4 still to pit.
Yeah, we've got reports there from Katz in the chat saying that Jack has some, quotation marks, mechanical issues. His wheel is caving in on itself. He's currently running in 10th place. Now, I had a similar issue where the right-hand side clamp on my wheel, where I have it to my desk, just completely came off during my race. So I had to nurse that home. I managed to nurse it home, but yeah, Jack's in trouble then. And that might be good news for Crazy Legs and Ollie behind him. Crazy Legs 6.6 behind, Ollie 2.7. That's news they wanted to hear. Meanwhile, Lambo then from the lead comes into the pits, and that means Morn is going to take the lead of the race then on those soft tyres. And the soft tyres then could really run for maybe another 2 or 3 laps here before you have to pit in for those medium tyres. But yeah, those super soft tyres have worked up to this point for Vanquish then. He wanted to try and make them run as long as they possibly can. And I tell you what, where is he coming out of the track? He's just leaving the pit lane now. Oh, so he's going to rejoin quite a way behind, but he'll be on fresher medium tyres, that's for sure. Meanwhile then, we've got a battle developing maybe between the Red Bulls as well. Lambo is starting to catch Big C, and meanwhile Collingwood is just trying to keep that gap then to the car ahead. Of course, that's Poe as they head now down towards Lacom. 0.3 of a second is the gap heading towards the braking zone. It's less than that through the first part of Lacom as we head through 5, 6 and 7 and then towards turn 8 of Brussels.
Yeah, definitely. So 3 drivers still to make a pit stop in this race here. Top 2 of Mon and Charlie. Alan Kay down in 9th, started on the medium tyre, so he's not made a stop yet either in this race. So they'll be running, I'd expect, the soft tyres for the top 2, probably about another 4 or 5 laps maybe, depending on how good they are on the tyres. Don't expect to see Alan Kay in for at least another 8 laps, I would say, minimum. He should be able to get out of them. We know Alan's usually pretty good on the tyre wear as well, so he should be able to make them last quite a while through this race. But it means that before the pit stops, the top 3 are back to how they were, with Poe out in front, Aaron having to defend with Big C behind, but Aaron's keeping within DRS range on Poe, so that's going to at least give him that ability to stick close enough and benefit from the DRS reduction system, obviously, down the front straight, the main start and finish straight, and up the Kemmel straight as well, whereas he was starting to drop off a little bit at times, and nearly out of that. He's made a mess, though, of the final apex through the chicane there, and Big C is right on the back of him there, nearly pushing him through the corner, but can't get onto the power quick enough. He's going to need to try and follow him through, and again you can see Aaron seems to be struggling in the braking zones here and just getting the car to turn in as much as he would like. Just seems to be understeering quite badly in places. So can Big C now get a good run over the top of Radion? He's got a much better one this time. Poe's picked up a penalty as well, so that means at the moment Aaron's the only one of these guys that hasn't got a penalty, but you can see the McLaren staying far enough ahead because he's got the DRS to assist him as well, because he's close enough to the back of Poe, and that means it's going to just stick with the status quo for now. Lambo's dropped 3 seconds off the back of these guys after coming out of the pit stop. He's not been able to keep with the pace of these front three, and he's got White all over the back of him in the second Renault. So we've got a couple of battles developing there, and we'll keep an eye on when the top two decide to come into pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. Collingwood's still doing a big job to defend against Big C at the moment. That is a battle for third place involving Poe, Collingwood and Big C. Meanwhile, Lambo and White here, as you said, Andy, developing into a little bit of a battle. Lambo seems to be struggling for pace on those medium tyres. Of course, they do take a lap or two to warm up, so this could be a chance for White to close the gap. Although saying that, you know, Big C and Lambo, they're only a lap apart, these tyres, and yet Big C is able to pull out, you know, sort of 1.5 seconds. It was about 1.6 when Lambo came out of the pits. Now it was up to 3.2, I think, because it was worse. It's now come back down to 2.9, so it's a little bit of an opportunity there. But Big C, I thought he was going to go for it down towards turn 18, but again, didn't quite make it stick. Collingwood making a mess of turn 19. Big C knows there's so many opportunities here that he's missing out on. Collingwood able to defend them, heading down towards La Source. He's able to just park it once again on the inside. A little bit of understeer in towards La Source. Is that the opportunity Big C needs? It can't. He can't make this work then. He'll have to focus now, heading down Eau Rouge and then up Radion to try and get a good exit from here. He's got in that dirty air. He's got to be careful there. Did have to have a slight lift, but he's much, much closer to the back of that McLaren. Pulls to the left-hand side with the DRS, heading now down towards Les Combes on the first part of it, and Big C makes the move stick, and one vital component of that was Collingwood simply didn't have the DRS from Poe ahead of him.
Yeah, he just dropped out just another bit. He was just getting the exit out of the chicane onto the front straight all wrong, and then just seems to be understeering wide. It's almost as if he's missing, you know, if a car was missing part of its front wing, it just seems to want to push out of the corner, and his car seems to be just pushing through La Source and through the chicane. He's just losing time. He just can't get on the power. He looks quick in certain parts, but he's just not got the confidence in the slow sections like that part there, La Source and the chicane, to just get on the power, and that's just allowed finally Big C's managed to get close enough, stick with him up through Eau Rouge and Radion, and the fact that Aaron's dropped off the back of Poe just made it a lot easier, and it was a slam dunk from there. White is still trying to keep up with Lambo. Lambo looks like he's just about got the measure of the Renault at the moment. 7/10 is the gap between them. Marnie into pit lane from the lead of the race, so I would expect he should come back out in 6th place behind that battle for Lambo, and White should come out just ahead of Vanquish, I would think. So keep an eye on that one. And that means the only driver not to pit yet is Alan Kay, down in 9th place. So on a lap 10 to 22, nearly the halfway point now, and Poe, he takes the lead with Big C in 2nd, and he is in range now. Now, can he get by the Renault a lot quicker than he was able to get by Aaron's? It took a number of laps for him. Poe's picked up his 2nd penalty off the race, and that's going to allow Big C an easy run here. Give the man a cup of tea in the Daily Mail, and he could easily finish reading it and have his tea at the same time before he needs to hit the brakes. Easy done. Shows you just how powerful the DRS is.
Yeah, and it shows you as well that Poe just did not get a good exit out of Radion there, having to cut that curb once again, and that is, well, the stewards here are really, really hot on that curb, as we've seen throughout this race and throughout the time we've been racing here this week. So they are really, really hot on that curb, and it goes to show once again that penalty will strike when it can hurt you the most, and in this case, Poe's not only lost a position, but also has that penalty applied then. Nexus and Alan Kay battling for position. Now the pass here, goes around the outside. Now he's got the inside for No Name. Can he try and make this work? A bit of a compromise run, but Alan Kay loses the back end out of No Name, and Jack then up to that's 9th place now. Bit of update on Jack's issue here is that well, when he turns left, that's the most trouble that wheel has got, as Alan Kay runs wide at turn 12 there. So whenever Jack is turning left, that seems to exacerbate the problem. So, well, the next left-hander is now going to be the exit of turn 19, so we won't see it on board till then. I wonder if we can see maybe less of a steering input. Maybe the car will understeer if it goes left now. We haven't actually gone.
Well, the bits I've been watching, I was watching through that chicane, the right-left after Pujon, and there's much more steering angle in turning left, it looks like. So it does make, you know, he's putting in more there. Poe is right on the back of Big C though as he come over the top of Radio. He's got an absolute flyer over the top of the crest, and he's going to repay the favour back to Big C that he did the last time by. Easy move with the DRS there, and nice and easy, can pick his braking marks into Lecom, back into the lead of the race. So Big C now needs to follow around for the next, what's it, 3.7 miles or something roughly from this point of the track, I would say, to do the exact same thing back, and we could end up with these guys swapping positions for the rest of this race. Aaron's dropped off quite badly, 2.8 seconds down roughly at the moment. Lambo is starting to catch him. He's managed to drop quite by 1.4, 1.5 seconds now, and Mane has came out as I expected ahead of Vanquish in P6, and he's now at current out of the top 6 and the freshest set of tyres out there, having just pitted on the last lap. Everyone else has pitted 4, 5, 6 laps ago, so keep an eye on his progress as we come towards the closing stages of the race. He might be able to make his way up towards, and at the moment in terms of penalties, he does have one penalty, so he'll want to get a move on if he wants to try and gain any more positions other than the P6 he's in just now. Crazy Legs is onto the back of Alan. Alan's ran wide coming out of Pujon, so I think Alan's starting to struggle a little bit possibly with his tyres or something, who knows, and he's allowed Ollie through as well, and he's now dropped down to 12, so 2 places lost there for Alan Kay in the space of a couple of corners. Paul setting the fastest lap of the race, doing what he can to keep Big C behind, but that Red Bull is still within DRS range at the moment. It'll be interesting to see if he can do anything this time coming up over Eau Rouge. Here we go, lap 12 of 22, so we are now halfway stage. Up over the rise of the crest we go, using as much of the curb and pushing it as you can, and Big C seems a little bit further back this time. Paul pulling to the right to break the slipstream, pulls back to the left, and yeah, Big C's not close enough this time by. And if Paul can do that for a couple of laps, he might just find what he needs to do to stay ahead for the rest of this race. Alan Kay comes into pit lane to finally pit, and he is the last driver to make a stop. Ollie onto the back of Crazy Legs coming up towards Eau Rouge and Radion now, and I fancy the Force India might just make this a pretty... Oh, got a big time slapper there going up the hill, kept it all together, and even before DRS he's nearly through. Now the DRS is open and he's going to take over 10th position. That's the final points paying position, don't forget. Ollie up into P10.
Yeah, good move from Ollie in the end. He's had a tough race. It's all been a recovery drive for him. One person who's been really struggling on these medium tyres, and I think it's his setup. His setup is not complementing these medium tyres whatsoever. When he was on those super softs, he was having the time of his life. However, now the mediums, whatever reason, they're just not working for him. That's allowing Lambo to close the gap 0.8 of a second. So Lambo now in DRS range, and of course, with a very short series, only 4 rounds, you can't afford these types of mistakes. You can't afford these types of setup errors. It's quick and yeah, relentless. Here we go then, down towards the source hairpin. Poe, your race leader. Big C in second. Collingwood at the moment is third, but he's under pressure from Lambo behind him. White is in fifth, Morn in sixth, Vanquish 7th, Charlie in 8th, Jack in 9th, Ollie rounding out the top 10. Then it's Ferraris, Crazy Legs and Alan Kay, who round off the last finishing positions, or at least the running positions right now. Here's Big C then, right on the rear wing of Poe. Towards the left-hand side he goes with that DRS, not a full ERS deployment because he doesn't need it. Big C is through then, and meanwhile Lambo has made a move on Collingwood then, even before Lecom. That's how powerful the DRS actually is. So Lambo gets that move done. Next, Vanquish. as second place he started from. Currently in 7th. Now he's behind Morn then as we head down to Brussels. He'll be hoping to just try and get that move done. Let's see Collingwood as well. Let's see how long he can stay on the back of Lambo. Sometimes when you're overtaken, it renews that lease for you, that lease to get the most out of the tyres. These medium tyres, it's a difficult tyre range and tyre temperature range to get them into. But once you get them into that range, you'll find that they do work, these tyres.
They can work if you do get them in the range. The soft tyre is the better race tyre. It's easier to get into that temperature range. Obviously won't quite last as long, of course, but Aaron does seem to have struggled since moving to the medium tyres. He's now dropped down to 4th, having been fighting for the lead earlier on. Quick bit you'll have noticed as well in the chat from Kat saying he was Jack struggling to turn left. He's been into the pits again to make the fix. Aaron's right on the back of Lambo though, going to the outside into the chicane. I'll come back to Jack's problems at the moment, and that is going to be a beautiful little move. The tyres might not have been working, but it's a nice move through the chicane. But Lambo's going to get the cutback down the front straight. Can he get the move done into La Source? Here we go, and yep, he gains the place back. So nice little bit of battling here between Lambo and Aaron Collingwood. Aaron getting a nice little move around the outside of the chicane there, but Lambo able to just cut back underneath him and take the place back into La Source. But now Aaron's going to have DRS up the Kennel straight towards Les Combes. Here we go, upwards 200 miles an hour. DRS wide open, staying in the slipstream as long as he can. And here we go, side by side. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them there. Where is Lambo? And he has still managed to keep it together. Camera angle disappeared for me there, and Aaron takes the place back in P3. So now he's got someone around him. He's getting the elbows out a little bit now, getting a bit of a fight on. He knows if he doesn't, he's going to start falling back pretty quickly. Poe's still quite close to the back of Big C, and Vanquish not too far off the back of Marnie. So we've got 3 battles developing, in fact 4 if you take in Crazy Legs and Ollie as well. They're coming up towards Les Combes at the moment. Crazy Legs not close enough on this occasion. So we've got 4 separate battles really starting to break out at the moment. I've been keeping an eye on the penalties as much as I can. Poe's got 2 3-second time penalties, Big C's got 1. So at the moment that's not going to work out. Alan Kay's just picked up his first one, as we see on screen. Lambo's got a 5-second penalty for excessive corner cutting, which was an interesting one. Morning's got 1, Vanquish has got 1, so they're battling as it is on track, and Crazy has got a 3-second time penalty as well. So that's your penalty situation as I've got it at the moment. And what that means then, if it was to finish just now, Aaron would actually end up finishing in 2nd place, Lambo would be 3rd, and Poe would drop all the way down to 4th because he's 6 seconds. So it just shows you how much that is going to hurt him at the end if it stays as it is.
So Poe will now be hoping that Collingwood and Lambo just sort of battle it out. Meanwhile, behind them, it's Vanquish and Morn heading in towards La Source, now on the exit. Who's going to have the better run down towards the first part of Eau Rouge and then up Radion? You don't realise how steep this hill actually is until you're up there. Meanwhile, we've got a move for 3rd place as well. Lambo has managed to find a way past Collingwood once again. Morn, meanwhile, now with the DRS, looking for a move past this Toro Rosso of Vanquish. Is having to go the long way around down towards Les Combes, but Vanquish is going to make him fight for it. Up the inside it goes, defends it with style there, and Vanquish able to hold on to 6th place. Lovely defensive move there, and I'm not sure Morn saw that coming.
No, that was a good wee bit of defensive driving there. Late on the brakes from Vanquish, got the move done into the corner, took the place back and says, "You're not having that one today, Sunshine, no way." And the reason as well is he'll be happy at doing that. They're starting to catch White a little bit as well. Up ahead, you can see that Renault just in the distance when you're on board with Vanquish. They're getting ever closer to him. Okay, they've got penalties to worry about. White has got 1 as well, so they're all racing on the track as it is. They've all got 1 3-second time penalty each, so they're racing as it is just now, and they're starting to close in on that Renault, so we're about to have a 3-way scrap possibly for those positions. Pole's dropped 1.6 seconds down on Big C, so that Red Bull is starting to stretch its legs a little bit out front, out of DRS range now, and that might just be useful for Big C, because the more he can do that and keep these two behind and keep it up, as long as Lambo and Aaron keep fighting, that could just make him the race winner here tonight, even though he's got a 3-second time penalty. But yeah, Aaron now is going to try and repay the favour once again on Lambo, but he's not got the greatest of exits there out of La Source. He's going to have to turn all the energy recovery up all the way to 4. up over the rise we go, cresting at 198 miles an hour. DRS about to be wide open now. Is he going to be close enough by the time they hit Lecombs? He's gaining. Lambo knows he's coming. Up the inside he goes, late on the brakes, wheel to wheel the two of them go, and the McLaren. Didn't think he was going to make it there for a second, but he's managed to steal third place back with a nice little move into Lecombe. Lambo running wide, trying to stick with him. Money unable to do anything on Vanquish, so it's as you were, with Lambo losing that third place back to Aaron on that lap.
Yeah, good little move there from Collingwood. Just news further down the field, Jack did pit in to fix his wheel issues. Now he's scot-free, no issues whatsoever, but he's 13.2 seconds behind Crazy. Was the wheel issue bad enough that he had to pit, because he was in a point scoring position before he pitted?
He was, but the good thing is now he's on a fresh set of soft tyres, probably the better race tyre. Crazy's done 14 laps already on those medium tyres. He was one of the early stoppers because of the damage, remember, that came about in the lap 1 incidents that we've seen. So if he's running in to the end of the race, he's going to be at the possibility of risking a puncture. And I would not be surprised if Jack can just keep things on the road. I think, even though it's a 13-second gap, we've got, what's that, just going on to lap 17 now. He could make that up if he can keep the car pointing in the right direction, because I would expect that Ferrari's tyres will go off an absolute cliff towards the end of this race. So Crazy's not got that point in the bag just yet.
Yeah, we still have 6 laps left to run here. So by the end, Crazy's tyres will be 21 laps old. So that's almost the entire race distance. That's going to be crazy. But here we go then. Lambo going around the outside. He got a much better run down the hill and makes the move really before that DRS has even opened. Down towards Lecombe they go. And Lambo then takes back third place. And it's a great little scrap between these two here. So much respect for each other out on the track as they now head down towards Brussels. They're giving each other everything they've got here. But the great thing is, it's clean racing.
Definitely so, and if you ever need the definition of a DRS slam dunk, that was it in full glory right there. Even before DRS was opened though, he had the move done because he got such a good run up Eau Rouge and just made it count in a way. He went easily done there on that occasion. Aaron will try to stick with him. Now what's interesting though as well, remember I said earlier Pole's got 6 seconds worth of penalties. Lambo's got a 5-second penalty now. Engineers usually sometimes mention that to the drivers, and surely Aaron will possibly advised of that because he doesn't have any penalties just now. So Lambo's in third at the moment, but his penalty will obviously then remove him from that position if we were at the end of the race. And there's still the possibility that Aaron could end up in second, because at the moment it's just around the 6-second mark, so you'd need to really get a move on if he wanted any chance. But at the moment he's still on for a podium. Lambo's going to try and just drive off. There you go, clean air, 1:45.6, and he's already out of DRS range as well. That's the last thing that the McLaren driver needed, because he needed to stay close enough to try and get that move back, and that, if Lambo can drive off, might just help to negate that 5-second penalty he's got. He's not got many laps to do it in, so he needs to get a move on. That means now the closest battle on the track is back between the other McLaren and Money and Vanquish. But you can see Vanquish, although he's got DRS here, he is just about on the cusp of dropping out in that DRS range, so he seems to be maybe just struggling a little bit on those tyres, even though he is in fact, sorry, he's coming into DRS range on white. Sorry, I'm getting the two of them mixed up. Apologies there. Money on the fresher tyres is actually struggling to stick with Vanquish. So that's quite interesting to see. Vanquish obviously just maybe enjoying life on those medium tyres much better. He fancies 5th place at this point in time.
Yeah, chasing down white, obviously on that DRS bubble as we make our way through Pouhon here. This double left-hander. It's caught me out many times in many career modes over the many years that I've been racing, and obviously I decided to give it up because there's so many people that are better than me. I'll tell you what though, Lambo's made a mistake out there because Collingwood is now down within a second of him again. So Lambo
yeah,
here,
he's got back in the range.
It might have been a mistake, it might have been Collingwood picking up the pace, maybe a little bit of both here, but he's now back within DRS range once again, so this battle is going to be reignited. Vanquish, meanwhile, is closing very quickly on White. Is he going to try and move down towards turn 18? Oh, he wanted to go for the move there, but White placing his car right in the middle of the track. Nowhere for Vanquish to go. He has to hold back. Good defensive driving from White there. Made his intentions clear. You're not getting through as we now head down towards La Source. We've got the DRS here. Vanquish, will he go for the move down the inside? He will. Tyre to tyre contact there, and that's going to hurt Vanquish's exit, which it does. He'll have some DRS though. He'll use it to try and recover. You can see that battle with Lambo and Collingwood going up Radion there, just in the distance. Meanwhile, Vanquish here, still on the back of White then. He pulls to the left-hand side. DRS wide open. And look at that. He's going to leave the McLaren for dust then as he makes his way down towards the entrance of Lacombe. And that is Vanquish then up to 5th place. Meanwhile, up ahead of them, Collingwood has closed up massively to Lambo ahead of him. Lambo is either struggling on those tyres, which is a huge surprise because, you know, it's a lap younger tyres than Collingwood has had. Collingwood seems to have struggled on these tyres all racing. Crazy is out. Crazy is out of the race. Let's see where these yellow flags are. These might be...
I'm guessing all rouge.
Yeah, it's Radion. The yellow flags start there, and he's on the right-hand side, so yeah, he's lost the car completely. Probably hit the tyre wall on the right-hand side, and, sorry, the left-hand side, and then it's careered him off to the right. So that is Crazy Legs out of this race, which puts Jack up into the points with his wheel issue. Pitted in to get a steering wheel change, I guess, from the team. But he is now back into the points. Oh, that's the Renault off! The Renault of Poe is off completely! He lost it completely going through turn 16. What on earth happened there? The car just lurched on him. Whether that's like some sort of failure internally. That car, it's a puncture. That's why. It's a right rear puncture for Poe. 14 laps old, those medium tyres. That's going to send alarm bells ringing.
Oh, that is very interesting. We only a couple of laps to go. 14 laps old and a puncture to that Renault, just pitching him off there at high speeds. You can only imagine what that would be like in real life for those that have had to experience that. So you've now got to wonder though, the likes of Big C, Lambo and Aaron picks up a penalty there. That's his first of the race, which is a shame. It means Ollie and Charlie, I think, and Jack are the only 3 drivers with no penalties at the moment, but Poe's going on to a set of super softs, so we'll see what he can do in these last couple of laps. White does seem to not have anything at the moment for Vanquish, and Aaron still on the back of Lambo. Now the thing is, obviously, depending on setups, we're seeing them locking up a lot more. Aaron especially, as I say, that car's looks like it's been understeering a lot. The rear end looks very washy sometimes as well. It's got its own want. We've got a yellow flag somewhere in sector 2, and where is that, or who is that actually?
It's
and
Big
it's Big C. Big C's got a puncture, I think, maybe.
No, he hasn't got a puncture, but he's made a mistake in towards the double right-hander at Pouon, so he's now all the way down to 3rd place. The race leader, who looks so comfortable, now in 3rd place there. So Lambo gets handed the lead, and that spin there for Big C, that's not going to help his tyres whatsoever. We've seen Poe already have that puncture. For these leaders now, it's going to be nervy times, especially going through these left-handers here. That right rear tyre is going to feel all that pressure now, and those heart rates will be going up dramatically. We're not even 2 laps away from the end here. Will these drivers fight for position? Will they just conserve their tyres? They're surely going to have to do both. It's exciting times. 2 laps to go here at Spa. Can the tyres hold out?
Yeah, they can't go defensive. That there, exactly there. If you were watching Aaron, he slides through La Source, and that's not going to help his rear tyres at all. He's been doing that just about every single lap. He seems to want to understeer, and then I don't know if it's with the ballast or something he's got in his setup. The back end just swings around like a pendulum by the looks of it. Big C's going to have a run now on him, but of course the McLaren's got DRS as well. So does Big C go for a lunge around the outside? No, he's going to have to think better off it. But these guys cannot just take it easy. They've got to go for it because they're fighting for position. Aaron and Big C have got 1 3-second penalty each. Lambo's got a 5-second penalty, so if he can find another second, in this last lap and a half, he could still win this race, because at the moment, 5 seconds for Lambo, 3 for both Aaron and Big C, and look in the background, it's a shame there's not another couple of laps to go. Vanquish and White are starting to get dragged back into this as these guys start to struggle. If we had another couple of laps to go, we could end up with a 5-way scrap before long.
Well, absolutely, but Big C will be absolutely kicking himself, losing it through Puon. I'm guessing that's just carrying too much speed, or maybe clipping the curb on that left-hand side, which the car just cannot handle, and it will go spinning all the way around. Let's see if any dramatic punctures happen like Poe, as we now head through Blanchimont, that load going onto the right rear tyre, and that seems to be a tyre that takes all the punishment. It's a really tough track on the rear tyres here at Spa. So many low-speed corners that rely on those traction zones. But here's Big C then, as we head on to the final lap of the race. Lambo starts it in the lead. Will he finish there? Big C then having to go round the outside at La Source there. Collingwood having to defend. Big C now trying to go for the cutback as they head their way down towards Eau Rouge and then up Blanchimont. Blanchimont up Radion, I should say. But Big C makes the move. Collingwood loses the back end. He's lost it. He's lost it up the hill. Front wing gone. That's Collingwood out of the running, surely. Yellow flags out in Sector 1 to cover that. So we've lost another one in this battle. And out of nowhere then, Lambo leads here on the final lap. Unbelievable stuff. Yellow flags again. Ollie's around as well. That's at La Source. He's got a rear left puncture at turn 1. 7 kilometres on that tyre. That's a nightmare for Ollie. It's just not been his day whatsoever. Lambo, meanwhile, heading his way now through Puon. And, well, it's not been an easy race for him. He wasn't in the lead until 3 laps ago. Dramatic style. There's Vanquish, by the way, in 3rd place. Remember, he started this race in 2nd. It just shows you how long this race has actually been. As yellow flags there in Sector 1 as Ollie really tries to limp his way home. Meanwhile then, Lambo heading through now the final couple of corners. He'll just be wanting that checkered flag to be just slightly earlier than it actually is. He goes through Blanchimont for the final time and heading his way towards the old bus stop chicane.
He might do this. He might do this, you know.
He might do it, but the only problem is those penalties are going to come into effect then. Lambo's going to take the checkered flag here at Belgium, but will he win the race? Lambo wins in Belgium, does he? He does, he holds on by a 10th of a second. Vanquish crosses the line in 3rd, White then in 4th, Morn there in 5th. Collingwood, what
puncture
a disaster
as well
for him. Does he have a puncture? Yes, he does.
Yeah, he does. He's struggling. I think that must have been what caused his accident. If not, it was certainly an after effect of it. He's managed to come through still in 6th, at least on the road. But he's going to get jumped by Charlie, because Charlie didn't have any penalties. So he actually steals 6. So double insult there for Aaron at the end. Poe crosses the line in 8th position. He's got 9 seconds worth of penalties, so he should be safe from Jack behind. Jack, you know, if he's got those steering issues, shout out to him for sticking with it. He's going to pick up 2 championship points for finishing in 9th. Ollie's got a puncture. Now, where's Alan Kay? Ollie's coming up to Blanchimont, so I think he's going to be too far behind, unfortunately for him. But if it had been a wee bit longer, you never know. So Ollie looks like he is going to get across the line and take the last point. Alan is far too back. Yeah, he's all the way back at Stavolo, so Ollie is going to come across the line in 10th, limping the whole way round with a puncture. How many punctures was that we've seen in the last year? It's about 3 or 4 that now? Unbelievable.
I think it was
Ollie
2.
crosses the line.
I don't think Collingwood had that puncture, but as you say, Ollie delighted with that point after everything that's happened, and after all that drama, Alan Kay finishes outside of the points. But Lambo kept his cool, kept his nerve, kept his mistakes down to a minimum, and he wins the first round of the TTG F1 mini-series.
Yeah, no, just by the nick of his teeth as well. He had that 5-second penalty early doors in the race, but luckily for him, Big C behind him had a 3-second penalty, and he just had enough, just as he crossed the line, to sneak the victory. I thought he was it's going to be tight, I knew that much, but he takes the victory. Red Bull 1-2, and Toro Rosso in 3rd with Vanquish has done a very good race there, so I'm sure Red Bull would be extremely happy seeing all their cars on the podium there. But Aaron, I don't know if he did have a puncture, because I did sit on board with him for a bit of the last lap, and you could see it with the steering the way he was holding it, but I don't know if that was the cause of his accident or just an after effect of the aftermath of it. There's your results here. As you see, Kieran, I love using this now. Official, unofficial results. It's Lambo from Big C vanquishing third. White takes fourth. Marnie in fifth. Charlie taking sixth there on penalties. He never got a single penalty, Charlie, and that helped him up to sixth. Aaron with that issue in the last lap, and that crash, down to seventh. Paul having picked up the puncture, a few laps to go, in eighth. Jack in ninth for his wheel issues and no penalties as well, so well done to him. Ollie takes 10th, having limped round with a puncture on the final lap. Alan had a tricky time off it, down in 11th. Crazy Legs retired, as did Naz and Raikkonen, who was on the first lap. All three of your DNFs crashed out, going over the top of Radion.
Absolutely, and driver of the day, it's I'm going to narrow it down to two. It's either going to be Lambo, who took the race win, or it's going to be Vanquish, who started second, got caught up at the entrance of Les Combes, and when you get into an incident like that, you think it's race over, recovered. What a recovery drive to third place, just kept his cool in all of the drama. What a race he had.
Yeah, no, it was a very, very, very good race indeed, and there's plenty of action all through the field as well. DRS proving to be very powerful heading up towards the Les Combes chicane, and that obviously helped to keep the cars close together for a good chunk of it, and we've seen plenty of action here. I'm sure we're going to see plenty over the next 3 weeks over the short mini league, as you say, before we say goodbye to 2018 and say hello to the fresh look of 2019 at the end of June.
Absolutely, and for the next 3 weeks then, on a Thursday night, I should say, you'll be able to see TTG F1, although Andy here, the next time we'll see him is round 4.
Yes, yours truly will be working next week up until 9 o'clock, which absolutely sucks. And then the following week, I am getting away for a little bit. I need a break. So I will be back in time for the final, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of drama there as well, though.
Well, absolutely. Well, please make sure you follow TTG on Twitter. It's at TTGaming Esports. You can follow me on Twitter whilst you're there as well. It's at KSMCGF1. And you can follow Andy on Twitter as well.
You can do, and it's on the screen just now, same as my PSN gamer tag, same as my YouTube plug. It's Andy81287.
And hopefully you will join us next week for much of the same drama every single turn we had. Thank you so much for watching this stream, and hopefully we shall see you next week. I've been Kieran McGinley.
And I've been Andy Campbell.
Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.
Ta-da.